Live meeting of Charter and Rules. Call this meeting to order. It is 6:30 and we are meeting in Holyoke City Hall and City Hall chambers, and we are joined online by City Council President and Charter Rules member Tessa Murphy-Romaletti. And I'm not sure if Councilor Vacan is able to join us tonight. I am the Chair of Charter Rules, Meg McGrath-Smith, and we're going to get started. Tonight you can watch the meeting, of course, in person on Channel 15 or on Zoom. And in either option, you can always click the interpretation option and choose Spanish if you so choose. And thank you so much to our translators. Okay, to begin, I'll entertain a motion to take up item 1 off the table.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh. I don't know because
Yes.
we need to have the
It's up on my
that somewhere?
podium.
Okay. All right, this is because we are in a hybrid meeting and one of our members is on Zoom. So a motion to take a roll call vote that for the purposes of this meeting would be applicable to all motions to remove and welcome Councilor Bacon, to remove an item from the table, place items on the table, package items, or suspend the rules unless there is an objection.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're looking right now at item 1. McGrath-Smith ordered the role of Public Service and Human Resources Committee as described in section 9B4 and 9L and 9M be reviewed and revised. And I spoke to Councilor Anderson Burgos. He's not able to join us tonight. And so we asked that we take it up and maybe review it and also table it so that he can join us at another meeting so that he can have this discussion with us as well.
So I'll make a motion to take item 1 up for the purposes of tabling it.
Second. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Unless you wanted to discuss it. So second, for the purposes of discussion.
Oh, I thought he wanted it tabled. That's why I said it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just going to sort of review where it exists currently, if that's
Then
okay.
just motion to take by item 1.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So when we look at our city council rules, it pops up in a lot of different places. And one of the things that's a little tricky is that I think at some point folks were trying to reorganize and I don't know if I want to say align or balance what kinds of work were going to which committees. And so public service at one point was renamed the Public Service and Human Resources Committee. And when they did that, we then named a number of different roles and responsibilities that would go to that committee, some of which we are following, some of which may not make sense to continue or have in our rules because maybe we're not necessarily following it because it doesn't make sense. And maybe there are other responsibilities that public service thinks should be theirs. So I just wanted to name that in that first section, it says Public Service and Human Resources Committee shall have jurisdiction over matters related to transportation, the affairs of the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department, the appointment or election of any city official, matters related to city employees and personnel, permits for home occupation issued by the city council, and matters pertaining to the elderly, the geriatric authority, and the council on aging. And that was amended back in 2023. So again, I just wanted to name, we tend to call this public service. Technically in our rules, it's public service and human resources, and it has a wider scope. And I know that we can send, of course, any item to any committee that we so choose. But I have not generally seen items moved to public service and human resources that are related to things like forestry and parks. And so I'm not sure if it makes sense to continue to name it as that's the general place that it should go. And then there's two other places where it is named in L It says all new appointments and reappointments submitted to City Council for confirmation shall be referred to the Public Service and Human Resources Committee for its recommendation. That, of course, happens all the time, right? And is its most is the bulk of what its work is that it does. And then the last one is 9M, where it names, it will be the committee that will represent the city council where requested by local, civic, fraternal, social, or business groups or organizations. And that to me seems like something that all of us do, and do in different capacities. So do we want to have an official committee that's named to that task or not? So I wanted to just briefly name it so the public knows why it's on an agenda, and just name that Councilor Anderson Burgos would like to be able to be a part of that conversation. And I think also maybe other members of public service too, or who have been on public service previously, but maybe are not now and want to weigh in on it. So I'm happy at this point to entertain a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to take up item 2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Item 2, McGrath-Smith ordered that Charter and Rules holistically review and reorganize how information on subcommittees is presented in the rules for the sake of clarity in Section 9. And I wanted to name that Jeffrey and I had gone back and talked about this. We're going to table this in a minute because there's a document that was supposed to be attached to this so that we would have a place to start from in terms of talking about how it might be reorganized. I had gone through and made a first pass, but I don't want to have that conversation without folks being able to look at it ahead of time and come with, actually, I think it's better if we organize it this way. It was more that when I went through the rules, it seemed to me like, especially in this section on committees, where it starts with A and goes all the way down to P. We have a lot of rules in here, and so I had looked at a way that we could instead name what each committee does in one place, instead of sometimes have it in overlapping places or different places. But I don't want to have that conversation here. I don't think it's a fair or a good conversation to have without everyone getting to look at it ahead of time and also come with their own ideas and drafts.
Sounds reasonable. So you want a motion to
Yeah,
table?
I would entertain a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. So
Aye.
we're looking for
Aye.
a draft. Or are we going to work from this?
I'm going to send,
A new draft?
yes.
Okay.
And that way, folks can also bring their own drafts too. I'm happy to do that. Just certainly doesn't have to be myself that proposes it, but I just had been inspired one day when I was looking at it, trying to parse out where all these things were. And I ended up in my cheat sheets of notes saying, well, actually, I think I've sort of reorganized it for myself. Does it make more sense to do it this way? Was there a second on that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item 3, motion to take up item 3?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Item 3, McGrath-Smith ordered that revisions to Section 7A of our rules be considered. So 7A is our agenda, where it says what the order is. And we've revised this once before in this term. And it says, A, at every regular meeting of the council, the order of the business shall be as follows. 1, calling the roll of the members. 2, Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the statement, God bless America, God bless the city of Holyoke and all its citizens, and God bless the city council. 3, presentations and reports by invitation of the council. 4, public comment. This was amended 2012. 5, reading the journal of the previous meeting, if requested by the city council. 6, unfinished business of previous meeting. 7, communications and reports from city officers. 8, President's Report. 9, presentation of petitions, memorials, and remonstrances. And 10, yes. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, oh, there we go. Okay, reports of committees. 11, motions, orders, and resolutions. 12, late filed orders. A listing of all late filed orders in the previous city council meeting to be listed and attached to the subsequent meeting's agenda as an addendum, and the above shall not be departed from but by vote of the majority of the city council present. So my initial question around this was if the order that it's currently in is actually matching what we're doing, and if it might make sense to shift where the order is of some of these items. I'll recognize Councilor Tessa Murphy-Omboletti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the only one that, just because of the experience of the last couple of years, that I would advocate for. I've always kind of felt like it might make sense for the president's report to be earlier in the agenda, just because like sometimes that includes like updates that the council is waiting to hear. It could include information that the public might be waiting to hear. And I've always kind of just like felt like it's a little farther down on the agenda. I don't feel strongly one way or the other, but just because of my experience, I would definitely think it might feel a little more natural for everyone if it was I guess my recommendation would maybe be like maybe it was like before communications, after unfinished business of the previous meeting. But that was, and then the only other thing is just, I feel like from a public standpoint, the item for like late filed orders and how it says like a listing of all late filed orders from the prior meeting will be listed and attached. I totally get like the reasoning behind that. And I don't know if like anyone else wants to chime in on that, but sometimes I think like the public doesn't understand what that means. And so I don't know, I'm not sure. But those are my thoughts. And thank you for giving this a discussion.
Oh, yeah, of course. I also wondered if it made sense to move the president's report up to being after public comment. And I also wondered, under 9, it says presentation of petitions, memorials, and remonstrances, apologies. I wondered if we often do memorials in a different place. So usually that's done after the president's report or is done right after. Yeah. So it felt to me like it would be an odd place to put it after petitions. And we're not really doing that right now. It just feels naturally like it makes more sense to do it after the president's report or maybe even before the president's report. So those are my two main suggestions. What do you think, Councilor Bacon?
I don't have strong feelings about it one way or the other. I think maybe the original logic was that the president would go before the committees as the person who's in charge, if you will, of assigning all the committees. Mm-hmm. But I'm fine if it went first. I was even thinking, say under 3 is where we usually will do a presentation of a proclamation.
Yeah.
That we would put the president's report right after those sort of ceremonial things, right?
Mm-hmm. In fact, right now too, sometimes we do presentations before public comment. Sometimes we do that after, if I'm remembering correctly. Is that true, Councilor Murphy-Miletti?
We have varied it.
Mm-hmm.
It has, yeah, Councilor Bacon's right. It's definitely varied. Just in my term, I've often, whoever is like kind of filed the invite to give a proclamation, like I do generally offer them that opportunity to do that at the very beginning. And I feel like that's happened even before public comment.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm okay with that. Since, I mean, it is kind of already happening. And I feel like it's like the considerate thing that we do because we're obviously inviting someone in, for this very nice thing. And so it's nice to do that nice thing before like a contentious, if it's public comments contentious or like before things get contentious, it's nice to kick off a meeting with something wholesome, like a good proclamation. So yeah, but obviously, I don't know what else has been done historically, but.
So where it says 3 presentations and reports by invitation of the City Council. Hello, Councilor Ocasio. Thank you for joining us. I've never seen that happen. So does it make...
Well, that's really the proclamations.
Oh, that's really the proclamations?
Yeah.
I was imagining presentations and reports meant like we'd invited a board to come in and present to us, or...
I think...
You think it's just proclamations?
I believe the intent was the proclamations.
Okay. I see Solicitor Bissonnette. You turned on your camera. Did you want to weigh in? Or did you just want to say hello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just to comment, I've seen it listed and other state and municipal agendas, introduction of guests as a agenda item, usually after whatever ceremonial oaths or affirmations are taken at the beginning of a meeting. And so that might be an appropriate place to have an agenda item that could allow the president to introduce guests that are in the chamber, but also serve as a stepping off point for any proclamations or resolutions to honor guests that council may be offering. Just a thought. Hope it helps.
Yes, Counselor Bacon?
So I was thinking it would sort of naturally follow that the president is opening the door for those presentations, that then the president could give the report.
Yeah. Would that make the president's report before public
would-
comment?
Yes, but I guess, I would defer to what our current president wants.
Yeah. Counselor Murphy-Ramboletti, what do you think about maybe even to like 3? We could make 3 presentation of proclamations, memorials, and, if we wanted to steal that language from down below, remonstrances, and then we could have president's report and then public comment. And then down below for 9, it would just be presentation of petitions. Because I think right now on the agenda it's just labeled as petitions anyway.
Right, yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it makes sense, but yeah.
Okay.
If that's a motion, I'll
Yeah.
second it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, so the motion is to amend the agenda in order to replace the current language for 3 to say presentation of proclamations, memorials, and remonstrances, and then to add president's report after that, then public comment, and then later down just to remove memorials and remonstrances down below from 9 because we're moving it up.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have a second. I just wanted to clarify it for the record, and I know that we're needing to type it out. I wanted to make sure it was clear. Okay, any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, can I ask a different
Yes,
question?
of course. Counselor Bacon?
On item 5,
Yes.
so that was changed from reading of the journal of the previous meeting if requested by the city council, which I believe would mean a reading of the minutes.
Yeah.
Which I think was dispensed with long ago.
And it's still
Madam
there?
Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, just on that point, Councilor Bacon is correct. So that was adopted, that change on March 4th. So I think it just crossed paths with you filing this order that change was made. The new 5 is review of regular and pending executive session,
Right.
city council minutes.
Okay, so we don't
Thank
have to
you.
touch
You're
that.
totally right.
Because we already did.
Well, and I guess here's my question around if we possibly want to sit with this for now until we go back in later potentially, because there is that language around late filed orders, and we're right that we didn't really address it. So if we want to address it, we can, because right now it does say that we're going to list all of them from the prior council meeting, which does make it a little funky in terms of where they fall on the agenda the next meeting. But I don't have a particular answer for it right now.
Well, yeah, but I believe the intent of that was so that the public could see the late files, because otherwise they were just getting read into the record and then they weren't appearing anywhere.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. That makes sense.
Okay.
So it is a little awkward, but, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's leave it there for
So do
now.
you want to table this, or do you want to,
I think we can move it forward for now, and if we need to make any
Amend.
changes based on the late file
Okay.
focus as we figure that out, we can always go back into it.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Oh, hello. Hello, Councilor Anderson Burgos. I'm glad you joined us.
Yes, of course.
I had tabled item 1. Do you want us to go back to it now that you're here?
Sure.
Yay. Okay. Remember the terrible meeting where you were on the screen, but you were on the second screen and I didn't see you were here, and you were here for like an hour and a half, and then we never got to this item, and then I tabled it because I said you weren't here? I do
Yes.
publicly want to apologize for that.
No, please, honestly, don't worry about it.
And I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Okay.
make a motion
Thank
to
you.
take item 1 off the table?
Okay. Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So we read it into the record ahead of time. But I do wanted to name, I'll go back to those pieces that we had read in. So because it shows up in 3 places, and one of them seems to make a lot of sense. So L says all new appointments and reappointments submitted to City Council for confirmation shall be referred to the Public Service and Human Resources Committee for its recommendation. That makes sense to me. Like, we see that happening all of the time. But M and what's underneath earlier, I have to go back and find it. Again, this is why I want to reorganize it, 'cause it's in so many different places. B4 are a little, I'm not sure that's what's happening now. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what should be coming to public service and if we should revise it. So 4 says that this committee has jurisdiction over transportation, affairs of the parks, recreation and forestry, the appointment or election of any city official, matters related to city employees and personnel, permits for home occupation, and matters pertaining to the elderly, the geriatric authority, and the Council on Aging. And then the other one says that they are the committee that will represent city council were requested by all local civic, fraternal, social, and business groups or organizations. So there's so much going on there.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear your thoughts on that, if you wouldn't mind.
Again, so I mean, when I think about public service, right? It's just that. It's as simple as someone interested in the line of work where you become a public servant or a public, like you want to sit in a chair or stuff like that. That's what I mean. That's how I always viewed it. And as long as I've been on the city council and when I've either joined or have watched the meeting, it's been basically appointments. And all that other stuff that you've mentioned usually ends up going to other committees. Do you understand? So
Yes.
I'm basically agreeing with you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
That it sounds like there's just so much that doesn't get sent to the public service because it's better off at a separate committee.
I also wonder about the name itself. Do we feel like public service and human resources makes sense?
I think public service just, because right now, when we refer to it's public service, I don't.
We do.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I was agreeing with you. I've never heard anyone refer to it, but it's also a longer name for a committee, so maybe that's why it's being referred to as almost a nickname.
Yeah.
So my thought is, if it makes sense to remove to keep L, which makes, I think, sense, to potentially remove M, only because it's not that, I feel like all of us represent the city council when we're
Yeah.
invited to civic, fraternal, social, or business groups. I don't feel like someone reaches out to the council president and says, oh, can you send a member here? And then the council president says, okay, well, public service committee, you designate someone to go. Like, we don't tend to see that happen, and I don't know if we want to see that happen.
Yeah, I agree.
It would take longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And also it would limit who we're saying can represent council to these other civic and social groups. And I don't know if I feel even comfortable with that. I feel like any city councilor should get to be able to represent their work on council. All of us are public facing. So I don't know if
Yeah.
it makes sense to remove M. And I don't know if it makes sense to go back up into 9B4 and consider removing a good chunk of what we're saying they have jurisdiction over, only because I don't see it happening, and I don't know if it makes sense for those pieces to live in that committee. So particularly transportation, sometimes that happens, but the last time we had an issue similar to that, it went to DGR.
Right.
The one about the issue with the transport company that was working on right next to City Hall,
In the parking.
and the parking situation and the temporary parking situation there, that went to DGR. The affairs of the parks, I've never seen go to public service. That always seems to go to public safety. And then recreation and forestry department, I've also never seen those things go there. The appointment and election of city officials. I was wondering what that referred to, because that to me, does city official and that, do we mean like a commissioner? Do we mean that?
No, I think so. I'm part of the tourist. It's outside of my purview. Not wrong word. So I also sit on the advisory board for tourism. So it's but usually the city council president will appoint someone from city council to sit on a committee outside of our normal subcommittees, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if that's what that is implying?
I don't know. Councilor Bacon, do you know what that is implying?
Well, I'm not sure, but from time to time, if there was an unusual vacancy on the council and it was not within a timeline, then the council had to vote to fill a vacancy.
Okay.
It seems like I remember one or two counselors coming on that way. I know it was a vote of the full council,
Oh.
ballots and rounds,
Do you
but
mean like the
Yeah.
Murphy
Oh,
situation?
so-
yeah, but I don't know if this committee did the interviews. If there were
Right.
interviews,
So
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're jogging my memory. So how did it go when Jennifer Chetnoff, remember when she
Yeah.
withdrew, or not withdrew, she decided to step down. How did that play out? Did the public service then, because I wasn't a city councilor then, so did the public service then hold, I know the city council voted to have a new person, but I don't believe it even went to committee. I think this was all discussed during a city council meeting.
It may not have, but say,
If Kevin was here, he would know.
so ideally, that assessor that was referred to public service should have been referred to public service before we voted on the appointment.
Oh,
That would mean, that would fall under that.
Do we have a member from the city solicitor's office? I can't see who's
Yes.
online.
Yes,
Could we ask through the chair, if you don't mind, just to have them weigh in?
Solicitor Bissonette, do you mind weighing in with any knowledge that you have of the history of this? And if this line makes sense to be in this committee, or if it should be, clarified in some way?
My understanding is that the Public Service Committee does interviews at the request of the city council by referral for any of the city positions that are subject to council's January appointment. So if there, let's say there were several members, or several applicants rather, that wanted to be selected by the members, the council could either move to a vote or could refer the applicants to public service for interviews, just like they do with mayoral appointments sometimes, if they're not.
And I would agree, but I feel that the urgency of filling a city council seat or any city council seat, even school committee at that, I think the urgency there is much more greater than just an appointed. So I feel like that in particular wouldn't make sense for it to go to public service just because of the urgency.
right. And we can always suspend rules if it's too short a time frame. But this
Yeah.
makes sense for assessor, auditor, all
Right.
those types of things. So that makes sense to me that that would be there.
I have questions up in, and thank you, Jeffrey, for putting that on the screen. I think that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
If we potentially are removing where it says Transportation Affairs of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department, and just continuing to say related to the appointment or election of any city official. I did like the language from Bissonette, although I don't know if we need to add it, but I liked it, where it said to any city positions subject to council appointment. I just think that's clear. That's clear.
Oh, at the end of after
Yeah.
official.
I think that makes sense. So subject to council appointment there.
Or confirmation, maybe.
Yes. Yep, city council confirmation, that makes sense.
It could be.
'Cause it could be appointment or it could be confirmation.
Confirmation, yeah.
Yeah. And then where it says matters related to city employees and personnel, I think that those tend to go to you, yes? Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Sorry, I put myself on mute. Honestly, the only ones I've really seen is just appointees.
Okay.
Appointees, like, those are the only ones that I'm wrapping up my second year. Yeah, I haven't seen anything come through.
Do you do home permits for home occupation?
Absolutely not, no.
Never.
Who does that currently?
DGR.
That sounds like-
finance.
That's
And-
DGR or sometimes finance, I guess, but I feel like DGR.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I think that we should reassign those there instead of it being
Yeah.
here because that's not what we're doing. And just doesn't make sense to do that.
Correct.
Okay, let me just look at what's under DGR currently. So DGR currently says they have jurisdiction over matters related to the affairs of the Office of Community Development and Industrial Affairs, any matters related to housing or community, economic, or industrial development and city's acquisition, jurisdiction over street vendor licenses, and all council-issued special permits except for home occupation and marijuana establishments. So maybe it makes sense to just shift that there. So pulling it out of public service and instead have it say street vendor licenses and all council issued special permits, and then just drop where it says except for home occupation and just say except for marijuana establishments, because all those still go to ordinance.
Ordinance, yep.
Okay. So Jeffrey, if you could just add when you get a moment, that's 9B5. And we can just show how we're shifting the DGR language in response to what we're doing to public service.
Madam Chair, can this order be used to amend a different committee when this order was about public service?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think unfortunately the issue is that if you are shifting one, you tend to also impact another. But I guess we could leave it for now, and then I'll just put in a companion order.
I mean, out of expediency, I was just putting the question out there just to make sure it's thought of.
Oh, yeah. Councilor Bacon.
I think as a practical matter, they've been sent there already. So technically, we probably should amend it, formally, but that's what we've been doing.
Yeah,
So-
I agree too.
I don't think it'll be controversial at all.
No.
Yeah. And on the part about city employees and personnel, I think what's ended up happening with that is a lot of it's gone to ordinance because certain positions are in ordinance, and if it was sent to public service first, it would just become one of those things that goes to one committee and
Back
then
and
back to
forth.
the other committee.
Yep.
So I think it's ended up being skipped for that reason. And then the other personnel issues are almost all union, and we can't
Yeah.
deal with those in committee.
So does it make sense to keep that language there in case it's needed in the future for something? Or does it make sense to remove it?
I don't think we've sent anything there, but I'll defer to the chair because I might not remember.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen any of that at
Then I think
all.
we should remove it.
And we have a backup too, Jeffrey Anderson Burgos, who makes up the agenda, would obviously know
Remember.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Tessa, I think Counselor Murphy Ramboletti has her hand up.
Oh, so sorry. This is what happens when there's a page 2. Oh, gosh.
No, it's okay.
I'm
It's all
terrible
good.
at
You're right.
Where are you even on this screen? Okay, sorry. Yes, and thank you for telling me, Anderson Burgos. Tessa Murphy Ramboletti.
Thank you. The only thing I can think of matters related to city employees and personnel would be related to perhaps the positions that are specifically appointed by the city council. Like, I don't know, the auditor, the assessor, or those things. And I agree with you guys that, like, it's always seemed weird to me that we would discuss personnel issues in like an open session in general. That doesn't feel like something we should be allowed to do anyway. So that was when I was looking at this, I'm like, that's the only thing I could think of that it would be if there were matters related to city employees and personnel.
But it would largely go, I think, to executive session if it was
Right,
a
exactly.
really specific
So I
personnel
don't feel
issue.
super strongly about keeping it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Maybe it could say like relevant and appropriate matters related to city employees and personnel?
Because I guess the other thing is like, if that gets taken out, I mean, like, how do we get looped in on if there are personnel issues related to our appointments? I don't know if that's just like, that just gets communicated through the president, and then the president circulates that information to the rest of the council members. Like, that's the only thing I could think of coming up, but it hasn't. So I don't know. Yeah. So I guess I don't know if anything I'm saying is helpful, but I just felt like I should say that. Thank
That's
you.
okay. Yeah, we're teasing out the impact of it, which, you know, sometimes can have nuance. Counselor Bacon?
Thank you. I believe we developed an ordinance that gave the mayor day-to-day operational,
Yep.
not control, but oversight of our appointees out of an interest of having more coordination within the departments. But
Yeah.
that if there was an issue of discipline, it would have to come back to the council. And I figured it would have to be from the mayor to the president of the council. But I don't think it's ever happened yet.
Yeah.
And can we imagine wanting to be able to send it to public service? Technically,
Not
without
really.
technically without naming it even in our rules. It's not that we couldn't send it here.
Right.
We have the ability to always do that.
And I just want to note that we did keep in the language that the committee's in charge of the appointment and/or election of any city official that is a city council appointee or confirmation.
Do you want to add confirmation?
Yeah.
Or appointment?
Well, because, so on the one hand, we're just sort of blessing the choice of the mayor. And then on the other hand, we're actually responsible for the vetting
Okay.
and
Yep.
choosing, right?
And then does it make sense to do matters pertaining to the elderly, the geriatric authority? Do we still have
the
a geriatric authority?
should come out, it's
I don't think
gone.
we do, right?
It's
okay.
defunct.
So does it make sense to keep the whole last line or drop that as well?
I don't know.
Is that a question for me?
Yes, sorry.
Oh, yes, then drop it. Sorry.
So here's
I'm
my
so sorry.
So here's my motion then, like as amended, I think that we should keep the line that we now have created for 9B4, the Public Service Committee. I think we should drop and Human Resources.
Yeah.
The Public Service Committee shall have jurisdiction over matters related to the appointment or election of any city official subject to city council appointment or confirmation, period. I think everything else should get deleted, including 9L, which now feels completely redundant, and 9M, which I don't think makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a motion, I'll second it.
All right, any other discussion?
No, I think you did a fine job, both of you.
Thank you. And I see Councilor Murphy-Rumbolitti's hand up.
No, that's
Oh,
from
so
last time.
sorry. That should have been lowered. My bad.
I'm finally looking at the
keeping a
second
watch.
screen.
Now I'm just keeping you on your toes. and
Yeah.
seeing if you're paying attention.
I appreciate that. I need that. Okay, so we had a motion, and that was seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I almost said aye.
You almost did. That's okay. It's because you so agree with what we just did that you wanted to say aye. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you so much, Councilor Anderson Burgos, for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
And thank you to Councilor Devine, who's also joined us.
Motion to take, we were on 3. No, we finished 3.
Yeah.
So motion
Do we
to,
want to take up
Oh,
the
let's-
Devine ones this year, or do you want to keep moving forward in order?
I'm sorry, I was going to make a motion to take up 4. Did you want something else?
We could. I was just wondering if we wanted to take up Devine's because she just came in.
Oh, if she wants.
Oh, of course. Here. Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to take up items 6, 7, 8, and 9 as a package.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All the censure stuff.
This is all the censure stuff together. So item 6 from Divine, ordered that the law department render an opinion as to whether a city councilor can be censured for disruption of any city council proceedings, whether at regular meetings of the city council or any subcommittee of the city council. And then item 7, Divine, ordered that the law department check with surrounding cities and towns as to how they might censure an elected official due to lack of decorum or other offenses. Item 8, this is legal opinion from Attorney Jane Mantaleski, Assistant City Solicitor, opinion on ability to censure councilors for disruption in meetings. And then item 9, Divine, ordered that the law department issue an opinion as to whether there are any repercussions for an elected city councilor who may use their position to impede any government operation in carrying out their duties. And I want to thank the law department for the resources they sent and for the opinion that they wrote. Solicitor Bissonnette, do you want to give us a brief and brilliant of your reading of the opinion and any lingering questions that you see that we may want to consider?
Well, I think it's important to note, as Attorney Mantaleski, that under both the charter and council is the maker of its own rules and has the ability to impose discipline upon its members. However, keep in mind that as an elected official, there are strictures and parameters beyond which the legislative body cannot go in taking action against a member. There is no provision for excluding the member or for voting the member off the legislative body. Recall the charter provides very limited guidance on when a member can be removed, and usually a criminal conviction of a felony is required for that to have immediate effect. So I think you're in a position where the council needs to determine what, if anything, it wants to do to enact this, and then what procedures it wants to put in place to accord a right to a hearing, notice and an opportunity to be heard, those kind of protections, and whether those should be public or private. I think those are germane to your deliberation here. And I think to your discussion about exactly how you want to shape this, or if you want to just leave it as is and take it up as an ad hoc matter, because you certainly have the power within your own rules to do that as well. So I leave it to the council.
Thank you, Solicitor Bissonnette. Councilor Bacon.
Well, if the maker wishes to speak first, I'll defer.
Thank you. Councilor
I'd
Devine.
certainly like to thank the law department for giving us this information. And again, I don't have that with me because we got it the other night. So I certainly don't have a problem with what was written, and if we want to give these that they were complied with, I'm okay with that.
Councilor Bacon.
I agree with that, and I'll make a motion that these orders are complied with.
Okay.
Second.
Under discussion, I just wanted to bring up a question that I had, if I might, about 6B. This was something that I remember reading initially in the rules like 3 years ago, and I had so many questions then, and I still have the same questions now. So 6B says, no member shall be interrupted while speaking, but by a call to order or for explanation. When a member is called to order, the member shall immediately defer to the president unless permitted to explain. And the city council, if appealed to, shall decide the case without debate. And if the decision is against the member shall not be permitted to speak unless by way of excuse for the same until the member has made satisfaction. Mm-hmm. And it's really, to me, a confusing rule in setup because it almost makes it seem like it's just about speaking. and if someone is speaking out of turn. But then it also seems to indicate that it might be a mechanism used if someone wants to effectively censure someone and say, you're not allowed to speak unless by way of excuse for the same, which I'm still not sure exactly what that clause means, until the member has made satisfaction. And that term, has made satisfaction, is it I'm apologizing? Is it I'm saying I'm not doing that again? So that to me, the language itself is complicated.
It's old language.
And it's old. It sounds old, doesn't it? So anyway, I would love to just get some clarity on what we think that means in related to all of these opinions and great articles locally about councils doing sometimes things like censuring members. Do we think this is a place that is related to censure or not? What do we think has made satisfaction means? Council Bacon.
We're having great discussions on some antique words,
So,
remonstrate, and satisfaction.
Yes, yeah. These are
Legal terms you
words that I'm
rarely
working on. Yes, Councilor Bacon.
The
we've-
satisfaction language is the Mick Jagger rule, by the way.
Thank you.
so we have never seen this rule activated, at least in my terms of office. I've never seen it activated. But my understanding of it is that it's a point of order where if somebody is engaging in committee crosstalk, the president calls order. But if it was censure, then that would be a more definitive process outlined in Robert's rules,
Right.
which is what we defer to when we don't have our own detailed rules. And I did read all the opinions and the articles that were submitted, and the thing that struck me is how rare it is.
Yeah.
And so I think it would tend to be something that we would handle ad hoc, and if something came up that was rising to that level, then a temporary committee could be formed to address how Robert's rules would be implemented in that particular matter. But it is there and available to the council, and the procedure is written out in Robert's rules for our use if we should ever need it.
Yeah, and I appreciate your point that it's not something that should be done in the moment, that it should be something that a censure is very important and has weight to it, and should be something that, the example that we have in here is a very formal resolution style document, like whereas, as it, let it be resolved that, right?
Right.
It's a very specific formal document
Right.
to censure someone, and it shouldn't just be something that is done in the moment.
Right.
I would be interested to, it's so hard, right? Because the reality is rules just have to be held enough in common by the group to mean that we follow them. And it's hard because in my mind, I think, I'm not surprised a council president hasn't tried to use this, because it has to, the council has to be appealed to. It says without debate, which I do understand, because if you're trying to move something forward, you don't just want to devolve into everyone.
Like tabling.
Yeah, taking sides, exactly. But then it says if the decision is against the member shall not be permitted to speak until the member has made satisfaction. I'm not sure what unless by way of excuse for the same means. And I'd be interested, Solicitor Bissonnette, if you have clarity on what that clause means.
Need satisfaction of the body.
Okay, so sort
Body
of a
has to-
repetition of it until the body agrees to this satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. It could mean the member is no longer allowed to speak. Now, understand that the structure here in B is when there is disorder in the forum, members refuse to come to order, or a member refuses to stop speaking and adhere to the president's call to order, that member may be immediately placed before the body on a vote. And the question is whether or not this member has to give satisfaction to the body. What is that satisfaction? The body can say,
Yeah.
remove the question, you can't keep talking on this. So there is a mechanism here. It's not quite the satisfaction that you see in the old movies where, one dashing gentleman slaps the other one with a glove and says, I demand satisfaction. I don't think, well, it may
Let's
be
not
from
encourage that.
near that area. Yeah, it gets a little dicey sometimes, but not quite there. So I think, this is a good thing to consider for those moments when temperatures rise and it gets a little heated. This could be a way to quell those passions a little bit and quiet things down. And the president does have the power to do that. And I'll have to think about the proper terminology, but there's a phrase used to require the named member to stand before the body and not necessarily be censured, but be made to give an apology, which would be satisfaction in this case. But this seems to have been created for those very situations. Whereas when you get during debate, an out of control debate, as opposed to a censure, which generally involves more conduct that is really deserving of approbation than a debate that got out of control. Someone was arrested,
Yes.
you get caught with 8 kilos of cocaine sent to your office, that sort of thing.
Which was
You know,
referred
that
to in
may
one of
require
these
a censure.
documents in another, yeah.
No.
And also looks like, you're referring actually to what happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Real life.
Yes. Not here.
Just
Thank you.
hypothetical.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the table that's been seconded for these to be complied with. Is there any other further discussion? Okay, on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
And thank you, Counselor Devine, for bringing that up. I think clarity is always good.
So motion to take up item 4.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item 4, from McGrath Smith, order that a new Rule 6H be added to the City Council rules. For 6H, any member of the council, upon being recognized by the president, may pose a question to be answered by the law department. We've talked about this twice before. Last time, it was the sense that maybe it was something that folks were leaning into too much, and should sort of be doing their homework and can always reach out privately to the city solicitor to ask a question ahead of time, but that we really shouldn't be attempting to kind of wield the power of the law department to get certain on-the-fly interpretations of structures or rules or processes so that certain things could be passed. And that was sort of where we left, I think, last time's conversation. So I'd like to open it back up for where we stand, and then regardless of where we are, send it to council to see, whether there's support for it there or not. And maybe there isn't. Okay. Does anyone want to speak to this order? I know it's been spoken to before.
I don't
Okay, Councilor Bacon?
I don't think I have anything new to add.
Okay.
That's come to my attention between the last meeting and this meeting. The only other point I would make is, I think to ask the law department on the fly in the moment of a meeting is also putting them in a place where they don't have the opportunity to research the question either.
Yeah.
So I think there's a variety of reasons that it's best handled outside of the meeting as we're doing our homework.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the only thing I would have to add is just, that it's really unfortunate that this kind of order had to be filed in general, because I feel like as a body, we should be able to just, if there is a question, if we're not going to have a parliamentarian, that got voted down, that got just given leave to withdraw, I think. If that's not going to happen, then it's a shame that this was kind of like weaponized And so I guess like, I don't think that, like asking for a legal opinion, like obviously I think we have a rule that says you gotta file an order in order to get a legal opinion. So like, I think just like allowing the law department to be able to talk is kind of wild that we like have to vote on that. And I don't think we ever really have had to vote on that, but I think it kind of gets, unfortunately, I guess it's like one of those things that, you know, if it comes up, that becomes a thing. So I understand why you had to file this order. That being said, you know, I don't feel strongly one way or another. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. So thanks.
Thank you.
I-
Oh, Councillor Devine.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Councillor Murphy-Ramboletti. If we're in chambers, we're having a meeting, and one person wants to pose a question to be answered by the law department, can they get voted down? See, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. I think two things. One, if you want an opinion, just ask for it. If you want a written opinion, you know, if you want to write out that order for another time, that's fine. But the question that the person may have may be very important, and how many people are going to say, no, we don't want to do it, so just turn it down. So that's my opinion.
Thank you. I think early when we first took this up in June, I know we had tabled it because there at that point the parliamentarian was still on the table. We started to talk about that. I thought that was a compelling idea, and so I thought at the time that there was more of an appetite for that than in the end there was, and so I think I'm interested in being able to go back and consider if there's appetite for this rule on council, given that we didn't move forward with the parliamentarian. But also let's see where people stand, because I know even in the last meeting, like, you know, Councillor Givner was like, I'm not sure this makes sense, right? So like there's different people that I think are going to weigh in differently on this, and I think that's okay. I understand the arguments on either side. My goal would be for clarity and not for confusion, and so whatever moves that forward, I think is best. Yes, Councillor Bacon.
So under our current rules, we can suspend our rules at any time to allow someone to speak. But I think the significance is that that's what we do. We don't just have one person that can cause that to happen. And on rare occasion, we have made a rule that says this will be the rule unless there is an objection of one, right? But we don't usually go the other way.
Yep.
And I just think it could become chaotic.
Yep. Well, I think you're right. This does take it from a 2/3 vote required to being, if one person wants it, they can have it. You know, I could be open to you know, middle of the road you know, rule that says any member of the council upon a majority vote may pose a question to be answered by the law department. But I don't think I want it to be something that has such a high barrier that it really does require 2/3. I think it should be something that has a lower bar if somebody wants to be able to ask an opinion of the legal department. Yes, Councillor Bacon.
And I hear your point on that, but I would just caution us that the council is the elected body and the law department is an advisory body to the council. And so debate is properly held by the members. And if you look in Robert's rules, non-members are only allowed to speak by permission of the body. Now, I guess we could have a discussion about whether that should be 7 or 2/3, but right now, our rules for suspension are 2/3. Yeah.
Right, and so if we adopted this, it would no longer be a suspension. It would be in our normal rules that someone could ask it. But again, I would be open to saying upon a majority vote, if that's, you know, just more tenable It just feels, feels like a better middle of the line, approach to folks. Otherwise, we can bring it to council as is, and folks can vote on that. Okay, so not hearing a motion to amend, is there any other further discussion? Okay, so just on the motion then, a motion to adopt as is and propose it to council with our recommendation for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Just,
Yes, Councilor Dwight.
just so you'll know ahead of time, I'm not going to vote for that. I'm not going to vote for that in regular session.
That's okay. Yeah. That, and I totally understand that we'll bring it to council, we'll see where folks are at. I'm also, like I said, I'm happy to see it amended as well, whether it's here or whether in council. Okay. Item 5.
Motion to take up item 5?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item
Aye.
5, this is from Jordan. Council rules be amended to ban outright all late filed orders, communications, and any other business of the council unless it's a matter of absolute critical business of the city and no member objects. Jeffrey, are you able to bring up the sections of our rules that deal with late files? It's
Sure,
across,
just give me one moment.
yeah, it's across a few places. Last time we had met, we had considered, we had 2 orders, one from Councillor Bartley and one from Councillor Jordan. In the end, Councillor Bacon had presented that Councillor Bartley was open to his being given leaves to withdraw if we ended up going the route of working with Jordan's rule proposal. And Jordan's rule proposal was to effectively ban outright all late filed orders unless it was a matter of absolute critical business of the city and no member objects. That language we created together as a committee. And the question was just, yes, that's what we're saying it needs to say, but also exactly which language in our rules are we changing?
Right. So if I may, my recollection was we just tabled it to have the side by side just to
Yeah.
move it.
Yes. So right now, late filed orders shows up in the agenda, which we already talked about earlier today. And then in section underneath the city clerk, number 4, there's a bunch under 4B. In the case of any such late filed order, request, resolution, or any other form of business hereafter order, the maker shall indicate on the order that it shall be considered as a late filed order. Upon reading of the order, present a brief explanation of the need to consider the order on the night rather than waiting to consider it as a regular agenda item. Orders filed after the deadline presented in Rule 4B and not specifically designated as a late filed order for consideration at the next upcoming city council shall not be considered at that council meeting, but will instead be added to the agenda of the next regularly scheduled council meeting. And then it says, added 2016, late filed orders shall be limited to 10. And if a late file order is deemed an emergency of the city council president, if the late filed order is deemed an emergency, the city council president may replace any order on the late filed docket that is not an emergency in nature. The item replaced shall be placed on the next full council agenda of the city council. So it seems to me that that's the section that we're going to want to
Right.
remove.
Right. So my motion would be to remove all of that language
Okay.
and add this language, which says there will be no late filed orders considered unless it is a matter of critical business of the city and no member objects. I don't think we have to say absolute, because a proclamation isn't like an absolute critical, but you know what I mean?
So there will be no late filed orders considered, or should we say added to the agenda?
Yes, okay.
unless they are a matter critical to the city and no member objects.
That's very simple and clear.
Yep.
The
Okay.
other was quite convoluted, and I don't think it was ever done.
Yeah, I agree with you. Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti, I saw your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is more just like a logistical addition, perhaps to consider. I know I was not here at the last committee meeting, so I do apologize. But and this is like just from experience. I don't know if there's like somewhere in there that like the late file. I understand that folks send it to the clerk, which is obviously makes sense because like the clerk is making the agenda, but I don't know if it's like we add something in there that like the maker of the late file should contact the president and the clerk or something like that, because like what happens now is just that like, I mean, for a while, historically, what was happening since I've just been president is that like people only email the clerk about a late file. And so up until now, like lately, it's just been like the clerk knows about the late file. Perhaps maybe our administrative assistant is aware of the late file. The actual president is not aware of the late file unless the clerk and the administrative assistant send it to me. And then I have to say yes or no. And based on like, if I'm determining that it is in fact truly urgent. And like so far, I've been trying to be like as reasonable as possible, but I think it's hard for me currently as the president to like think about. Like, I don't get notified. I don't get the heads up on the late files
yes.
unless the clerk or the administrative assistant remembers to remind me. So I guess that's all I'm saying is like, it would be a common courtesy to just give the president a heads up, I would think, but that doesn't happen. So I don't know if folks feel like maybe we could add that into the rule, just as a courtesy, but if
Sure.
not, if folks feel strongly against it, I'm not, like, I don't want to fight about it. So it's fine. It's just a thing
Jeffrey-
that I've noticed.
So,
Jeffrey, did you see the proposed language that I sent to you? I just emailed it to you based on what I heard.
Yep,
I
getting ready to paste it in right now.
was going to make a motion that we just amend the language to add that any proposed late filed order shall be sent to the president, the clerk, because everything has to go to the clerk and the president of the city council.
Yes, I think the only thing that I
would
I'd
second
also
that.
added was the city council assistant too.
Oh,
Okay, so here's what I've drafted based on what I'm hearing folks say, and Jeffrey just pasted it in. There will be no late filed orders added to the agenda unless they are a matter critical to the city and no member objects. To add a late file to the agenda, the maker of the order must contact the city clerk, city council assistant, and city council president. Does that get it?
as long,
Yes, Councilor
I
Bacon.
guess that's fine, but it just needs to be clear. The president is the only one who could say it would not go on.
Right.
And is that clear when we say shall be copied here, here, and there? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Probably it is, but
Well, so at least from from what I think this means is I could decide, oh, this is so important, I need to add it. I could then contact these three people.
and then they
it
could
would-
all make sure everybody knew.
It would go on the agenda, and then someone could object and say, that's not critical. It shouldn't be a late file.
Well, although the president is a member of the body, and if the president objects, can
That's true.
say that it should not go on the agenda, which I think is okay,
Yes.
personally.
Yeah, I think that interpretation is correct. Right.
All right.
Because
all
the
right, as
council
long
is
as
that one
we
person.
all know what we think we mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Hopefully,
that matters, doesn't
hopefully
it?
8 others or 9 or 10 others will too.
I'll have to do a good job on the committee report. Okay, so I'm happy with that. The only thing then I have a question on then, if we could then return to that other question around late filed orders. So does it make sense that if the city council president or another member objects to the late file, does it make sense then for it just to then become a motion to the next meeting.
Go on the next agenda and as an order.
Yeah. So then right now it says a listing of all late file orders from the prior city council meeting be listed and attached to the subsequent meeting's agenda as an addendum. Does that need to happen? Or can they just then go into the regular orders section rather than being an addendum? Because technically they were a late file, but since they weren't taken up last meeting, now they're just a regular item.
So we might have to add another sentence that says, if the late file is not acted upon, it will become part of the
Regular agenda.
the next regular agenda.
Okay.
And then we wouldn't need
We wouldn't need 7A at all,
12.
right? So
Or
then,
whatever number
so
it
wouldn't
ended up
then that language that Jeffrey's typing, if the late file's not acted upon, that would then just become part of 4. That would become part of the clerk's section, and then we would remove from the agenda 7A. We would just reconsider that item to remove it. Okay. Does everyone feel good with the language that we have?
Yeah, I'd like, if we can be sent a copy, I'd like to. Of
course. Yes, of course. Okay, can you paste that red line that you have under 7 up under 4, Jeffrey?
Because we will either take up the late file or we will put it on the next agenda.
As a regular
so-
agenda item, yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need its
So
own
that's
section.
cleaner.
I think so too.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just to clear a technical detail. So it sounds like, just because I helped the clerk put together the agenda, and I've actually been the ones manually putting in the late files on the website from the previous meeting. So my understanding of that 7A12 is those are the things that do get approved to be late files. So they wouldn't get wrapped into the next agenda, but the purpose of that was to make sure the public still knew about them.
The confusion I have though is that it says prior on the subsequent. So that to me signals, I know that what we've been using it for is to name that we're putting it on the meeting where it's occurring as an addendum. But actually this rule itself is talking about what's happening from the prior meeting to the subsequent meeting. So
Right.
if we want to keep 7A to make it clear that it's a section on that agenda for that night, I think that could be appropriate to keep.
Right, I'm sorry. So what I'm saying is that on the website, there has been a section in the addendum that says late files from previous meeting.
Do you see a function to that? Yes, of course. Feel better, Counselor Devine. Thank you for joining us.
Well, I think that this was done prior to this, maybe this rule was done prior to the late files being added to the agenda as they come up. So as long as that practice remains going forward, perhaps it's not necessary. But I think the importance of this having been created was making sure the public knew that there were late files at the previous agenda that they didn't see when it was published.
That is my recollection as to why that rule was made.
Do you still believe the rule is necessary?
I don't think with this new
I don't think it is.
language, we need that because
I
we will either be taking it up because it's critical
Mm-hmm.
or we won't be taking it up and it will be on the next agenda regular,
Yes.
in regular order.
That's my understanding as well. Okay. So I do think, however, we're going to have to vote on the changes that we're making here and then just reconsidering our action on the agenda item to remove that. Okay, so a motion to propose the amended language on late files as drafted.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Sorry, I was on mute. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, and
Can
then
you, do you mind just to close it out, just to summarize.
Sure.
Because we added like
Just to read the link. So we're
2 or 3 or 4 different things.
So we're removing all of the language on late files in 4B that exists currently, and we're adding, there will be no late filed orders added to the agenda unless they are a matter critical to the city and no member objects. To add a late file to the agenda, the maker of the order must contact the city clerk, city council assistant, and city council president. If the late file is not acted upon, it shall become a part of the next regular agenda. Does that feel right to you? Or you're not sure?
It does. I'm just having one moment of hesitation around the open meeting law. Like, how late can a late file be before you're violating the open meeting law?
I mean, so there were, I remember
Right?
someone telling me a stories of people technically in this, something could come up and you could be like, this is so important and we didn't realize that this was going to need to happen tonight. And in the middle of a meeting, someone could
write an
literally
order.
draft it out and hand it to the clerk and the president. It's like, and it's designed to allow that to occur because as rare as it is, there apparently have been moments in council history where it was important for council to be able to act on something right there. And so that's why they initially were allowing these late files, was for things that came up in a meeting that clearly, well, we didn't realize that we didn't have the right order in front of us and we need to act on this tonight and we don't have the right language. Let's do it right now.
But it was related to an agenda item that was posted, but maybe not specifically
Right.
written in a certain way.
So that they couldn't act on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think it would be something we'd all have to be careful about.
Yes.
Let me just say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I just have a quick question,
Yes.
more of a clarification.
Of course.
So like if we're saying acted upon, does that mean it makes it part of the tabled orders for the next meeting? Or are we putting it under the new orders section?
The new orders section as part of the next regular agenda. Do you think we should specify that?
If we don't act on it,
Yeah. Yeah, if they're not acted upon.
but if I may.
I mean, that just wasn't super clear, right off the bat to me, but that's why I was just asking.
Do our words say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
let me look at the agenda section in terms of where that would exist. Reports of committees. So, we can name it if we want to. We could say, if the late file is not acted upon, it shall become a part of the next regular agenda, under motions, orders, and resolutions. Because that's what the agenda says.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I'm open to that. I just felt like it might need to be a little bit more clarified.
Sure. Okay, Jeffrey, could we add that after it says,
So
become a part of the next
I'll make
regular
that as a
agenda?
motion.
Okay, thank you.
I will second.
See, the more you think about it, the more details there are.
This is why it's so fun. This is why it's so fun. Okay. I like that. Okay, thank you. Good question. All right, do we feel, Solicitor Bissonette has his hand up. Yes, sir.
Just thinking that in line with what was discussed, the language might be clearer if it said, it shall become a new order as part of the next agenda.
Okay.
That is fine with me too. Sure. Also, I like that, that's a little more concise. We always try to make things shorter, don't we?
It's better.
And then we
Clearer.
keep adding more lines.
I still think this is clearer than the old language.
Yes, I agree. Hopefully it's a step in the right direction. Nothing stops us from amending it again.
Exactly.
You can see that this is something that council's been struggling with over the years because it's been amended so many times. So lots of at-bats at this one. Let's hope this one's the home run as it is.
So what's our new last sentence now?
If the late file is not acted upon, it shall become a new order on the next regular agenda.
I make a motion to add that to our new proposed rule.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to send the amended new rule to council.
with our recommendation.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Did you hear me?
Yes, it was
Okay.
just a little delayed, I think. We got you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and then just 10 and 11.
Motion to take up item 10. Oh, that we were ready to go with too, right? Just looking for language side by side?
Yes.
So motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item 10, McGrath Smith, ordered that City Council Rule 9I be revised from subcommittees should not be allowed to meet at the same time, same night. Subcommittees should not be allowed to meet at the same time, same night, unless the chairs of two or more subcommittees have called for joint meeting. And then this was amended in our last meeting. 2, subcommittees should not be allowed to meet at the same time, same night, unless previously approved by a vote of the full council. If a joint committee comprises a majority of the full council, then the council can call a committee of the whole. One thing that I actually wanted to bring up after is that, and this because we keep talking about votes and needing clarity,
I was just thinking.
I think that we need to say it's a majority vote of the full council. Otherwise, it literally makes it sound like it has to be unanimous, and that's like way too high a bar. So I would like to amend that to be of a majority vote of the full council.
Second.
Thank you. Under just that amendment, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And then,
Motion to approve is amended.
yes, thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
We discussed this.
Yes,
time thoroughly.
absolutely. The only thing I want to go to, I just want to look at 9 really quick to make sure that that is all set and that there's nothing else that needs to be added around that or where we need to place it. Okay. Oh my goodness, there's so much in committees. Okay, yes, I stands on its own, so then we're fine. There's nothing else that we need to add or change. Doesn't need to go anywhere special. It's its own thing.
Okay, good.
Okay, so, yep.
Did we already voted, right?
I think we just have to make a motion to recommend it to council. I
Oh,
thought
I
we,
thought I just did that. I'll make a motion to recommend it to council as amended.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Motion to take
item
up
11.
Item 11.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item
Aye.
11, Jordan and Vacan, with permission and abbreviated reading. Are we
Sure.
okay with that? Okay. So, Jordan and Vacan, this has to do with something that we've already voted on, and I think we just need to give
Section
it
20.
complied with because we've already voted in council chambers on this rule change.
Well, so what?
So this was, so just to briefly say, this was the order that the City Council Charter and Rules Committee discussed the council's long history of interpretation relative to Section 22 of the Charter around voting to pass the first and then a vote to pass the second reading being required before final passage may occur under the provisions of that section, and that the council should continue to follow that current procedure if and until the council votes to change that procedure, and then it lays out that section of the charter.
Right,
Councilor Bacon?
right.
To the maker of the order.
So what we voted on in council was the charter change. This is for the rules, just to have them be the same. That's my understanding of what we voted. But if we voted on the rule, I'll stand corrected.
Jeffrey, can you clarify? Did council vote on the rules as well as the charter or only the charter?
My understanding it was a home rule petition, just changing the charter.
So
Okay.
this was the companion,
Got it. Okay, so
To-
then we need to pull up that language then.
so it's exactly the same.
Yes, I just need it so that
Oh,
we can
oh.
read it.
Oh, it's here, right?
Yes, but like where's the language from that vote that we took in council around how we would change it?
Oh.
We just need to read that in and vote on that. Do we have a copy of that anywhere, Jeffrey?
You're talking the home rule petition that was approved.
That language?
Last City council,
I can get it real quick. Give me a moment.
Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, the idea was just to mirror it, so everything was the
Totally.
same from one document to another,
Yeah, there's some good clarity in
right?
that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Sorry, I'm sending you for lots of
And you know, I
documents
almost
today.
always bring my folder,
The one day.
of course. It's a Murphy Law moment.
As a Murphy, I get it.
Do you get to use that line a lot?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Nothing personal intended.
No. It's, you know,
It's a saying I never learned till I was on the city council.
Really?
I truly have actually like the
I
worst
never
luck ever. So it really sums up it like completely. Anything that can go wrong does go wrong for Tessa.
But I never knew that saying before.
I grew up with it. My father would always hand me an umbrella. And I'd be like, Dad, it's not going to rain. Murphy's Law.
Right? Take it or it will.
Okay, thank you.
So I think.
Okay, so that language there, so it says, any order, resolution, or vote involving the appropriation or expenditure of money to an amount which may exceed $200 shall require for its adoption the passage of the following two votes. One, motion to pass the first reading, adopted by a majority of all the members of the city council, and two, motion to pass the second reading, adopted by the majority of all the members of the city council on a roll call vote. Notwithstanding the proceeding, if the motion to pass the first reading and the motion to pass the second reading occur within 3 days of each other, then the motion to pass the second reading shall require a 2/3 majority of all the members of the city council to be adopted. Any ordinance involving the appropriation or expenditure of money shall require for its adoption that the ordinance adhere to the procedures of section 13 for the adoption of ordinances. So I'm wondering if we just want to adopt from any order down to adopted?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just realized I was incorrect. 8M did get adopted on the 21st as well.
I thought it was, yeah. Thank you. Okay,
Oh, you
so
found it in another section?
so we've already adopted it into the rules.
Yeah, it was one of the orders that was on the October 21st agenda to
Oh,
change.
separately. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then we've
Okay.
adopted it, and all we have to do is mark this as complied with.
All right, well,
Okay.
that was easy enough. Okay.
Okay.
A motion that this was complied with on what, October 21st?
That's correct.
Okay.
City council meeting. Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
I
right,
And then a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Good remembering.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Everybody, good meeting.